G'day guys, Butcher Benny T here with another video for you. In this one I'm going to make some beef jerky. Going to make it out of what I think is the best cut of beef for beef jerky, which is the Dorello, or the eye off the silver side. It's lean, there's no seams through it, so you don't get, there's not as much work in it to get it into good portions without seams and sinew through it for the jerky. So this is what I find the best. So we'll get it cut up out here in the smaller pieces, and then I'll take it inside and I'll show you how I mix up the marinade that I marinated in, and get it going from there. Right, so we'll get a start trimming this up. As you can see, it's a round piece of meat. So we'll start by trimming up all this fat, get all that off for a start. I'm just using a little breaking knife to get that off. Doesn't really matter if you take a little bit more off, because you want to get rid of, we're going to get rid of all this silver skin. We're going to get rid of the whole lot. So I might actually swap over and use my boning knife. Better to take the time now to get it all trimmed up now, because you don't want any fat. Because if you have fat in your jerky, it'll make it go sour, because the fat will never dry out, because we're going to put it in a dehydrator, and fat won't dehydrate. It'll end up going rancid, and then your jerky won't keep for as long. So you want to get rid of all the fat and all this skin from the outside as well, because that's just tough. So you don't really want that on there. Just keep working that off. It takes a little bit of time, but the time's worth it, because the rewards are great at the end. So okay, nearly there. A little bit on the other side here, bit of fat there will take away. And there we have it, nice and lean, good to go. Righto, so now you just want to slice it out nice and thin. So it can be easier just to might be easier to partly freeze this. Makes it a bit easier to cut if it's partly frozen. I do enough on a knife that I don't need to do it, but for anyone that doesn't do a real lot, it's probably a lot easier to do that. Or I'll show you another way. I'll just slice a few of these out, and then I'll show you another way which will make it a lot easier, especially with this shape of meat. Another way to slice it out nice and thin. But I've done enough of it that I pretty well trust that I can do it. But you can see that, it's about as thick as I make mine. I'll chuck them over there. What you can do, just grab him, cut him straight down the middle, like that. Then you've got a flat surface and he'll sit there better. And which we're going to cut in half anyway, so for me that's probably a pretty good sized piece of meat for a jerky. So we'll slice that out. You can see the meat's not, is sitting there nice and flat because I've cut it down the middle, so it makes it a hell of a lot easier. So I'd recommend doing that every time, considering we're going to cut it in the middle anyway. So yeah, but the Dorello is a tricky shape, but it's the best. It's the best cut, I reckon, for beef jerky. So I'll always use it. The other one you could use if you're going to, top side's good if you get a corner cut of top side. That makes a really good jerky, but the rest of the top side, there's a lot of seams, so you're sort of working around the muscles and you've got to get those seams out, whereas this is just that solid bit of meat. It's lean, it's tender, so you won't go too wrong with it. So, we're nearly there, nearly got him all done up. Couple more. Last little bit on the end here. There we go. You can see that. That's pretty good. Good size, good shape. So we'll get these other few that I did first. I'll cut them down the middle. We'll just cut them straight down the middle like that. That. I'll get that in a bag and head inside, and we'll have a look how I go about making up the marinade for it. Rightio, so we've just cut the meat up. I've just come inside. I've ended up with 1.7 kilos of beef strips. So I'll go through what I put in for this amount of meat. So it's 1.7 kilos, and I'll go through slowly and tell you exactly what I've put in my ingredients. I'll angle this camera down and we'll go through it. That way you can note it down if you want to note it down. This is a pretty spicy jerky I'm making. It's got chili and smoky paprika and a fair bit of pepper and stuff. So I like a bit of kick in it. So you can sort of change it up however you like. But this is just a spicy chili one. So I'll go through slowly now and we'll have a look what I put in it, and you can work it out from there. Rightio, so for a start, I've got a cup and a third of soy sauce. So I'll put it in this mixing bowl. You might need to, as you go, just see if it's wet enough. So you might need to add a little bit more. So a cup and a third of soy sauce. I'm going to put in a cup and a third of brown sugar. Now that's pressed in there pretty tight, so a cup and a third of that. So I'll put that in. They're probably the two. Especially the brown sugar, that's probably the most important one you want to get right, because that sort of makes your marinade as such. So whack that in. That can be mixed around a little bit just to get that brown sugar dissolving. So give that a bit of a mix around. And then we'll whack in a bit of this doesn't really matter. I'm just going to put in a squeeze of lemon juice. So good squeeze of that. There's probably about 4 or 5 tablespoons in that. We'll put in a bit of minced garlic. So you can use fresh garlic. I've just got the minced. I'll put in probably 2 of those heaped teaspoons like that. Chuck that in. You'll see a lot of what I end up doing here is from now is a fair bit of guesswork. It's just how I go to flavour. Got some onion powder. I'll put that in. About a teaspoon or a bit better. About that of onion powder. Tuck that lid over there. Now I've got some smoky paprika. So we'll put roughly 2 tablespoons in. There's 1, 2. 2 of those. The chili. So I've got chili flakes. Put about the same of those. I'll probably put a little bit more. Probably there's 1, 2, 3, say 4 tablespoons of chili flakes. And I've got black pepper, just cracked black pepper. Probably put 2 or 3 tablespoons of that in. But once again, you can make it to your flavour, your liking, but this is about me. There's 1, 2 of those. And then some salt. I'll just put in a couple of good pinches of that. So that and that. There we go. And that's it. This is smelling pretty good, pretty strong, but very good at the same time. So I'll give that, might just grab a whisk for that actually. And I'll whisk that up. So now that's done, that's a nice wet marinade. You can see it's, well, the soy sauce is the main of it, so a lot of seeds and whatnot in there. Now we'll just grab our meat, drop that in, give that first bit a bit of a stir around. I won't use my hands so I don't have to walk away, so make sure they all fall apart. But I'm going to leave this in the fridge for probably, I'll give it 2 or 3 days in the fridge in this marinade, just to really get the flavours going through it. Put the rest in. There, get that spoon again, we'll mix it in. Once I get off the camera, I'll probably dip my hand in and give it a good stir around with my hand. But for this, I'll just use a spoon. That's looking pretty good. You can see a fair bit of chilli and pepper and that in there, so it should be bloody beautiful. Put that down there. There it is in the bowl. You can see all the chilli flakes and the pepper on top there. So it's looking really good so far. Rightio, so there's the ingredients that I put in for this beef jerky. As you can see, once I get the, I'm pretty particular. I'll put the right amount of soy sauce and the right amount of brown sugar, but apart from that, just mix it up to your flavours. I'm more of a rough and guess it man. It's usually about the same every time. I know it works. It's been tried many times and I bloody love it, so that's how I do it. So I'm going to chuck this in the fridge now. I'll cover it up. You could put it in a cryovac bag and cryovac it down and keep it, but I'm just going to put it in the fridge for probably 3 days. I'll cover it, put it in the fridge for 3 days, and we'll come back and chuck it in the dehydrator and get it going from there. Righto guys, I'm back here. Had that actually marinating for 2 days in the fridge, so that's what it looks like now. It's a bit hard to see, but it's all marinated up, smells bloody beautiful. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to load it up into the dehydrator here. I'll move this camera angle and you can see what I'm doing exactly. I'll just load one tray up for the camera, and then I'll get all the rest loaded up off camera. Once you see one, you've seen them all. So I'll adjust this camera and we'll start loading her up. Rightio, so I've just got some paper towel here. I'll lay some of that out. I've put a towel under it as well, just to stop it seeping through onto the bench. I'll end up in trouble with the missus, so better to play it safe. I'll just grab the jerky and start laying it out on the paper. This will just drain all the excess juice off from that marinade. So I don't mind if the chili flakes and that stay on, but it's mainly just the excess moisture we're going to try and get rid of. Lay it out flat. You can see some of these bits are a little bit bigger, but if you wanted to, once it was dehydrated, you could cut them back down anyway. I'll get enough for a tray. We'll load her up, and then I'll get the rest done. 2 days is definitely long enough for this to marinate. I think I said originally I was going to give it 3, but 2 is plenty, so it's up to you. I think even if you only left it for a day, it would be enough, but I reckon the flavours get through it a little bit more. You leave it a bit longer. Right, now that should be enough for a tray there. Give me fingers a wipe it. Pull that forward. Grab the tray for the dehydrator. ready to go. Lay another lot of paper towel over the top there. You can see that change in there, all the moisture coming off the top of the meat. Just pat that dry a bit. That's pretty good. You can see on there all the chili flakes and the pepper and that are still on. Just there. So we'll leave all that on, that's all good flavour. So I'll just lay that in the tray now. This isn't a very, it's not an expensive dehydrator. It's only a cheap one. I think it's got 7 trays to it. So you can fit a fair bit of meat in. I'm not sure if I'll fit all this in or not, but we'll give it a crack and see how we go. You want to put it in so it's not touching. You want the air to be able to get in and flow around all the pieces. So I'm leaving a bit of room between each of them. But obviously as it dehydrates, it will shrink, so those gaps will close up. Rightio. So there it is there, you can see what I've put in that tray. So I'll just go ahead, I'll chuck that one on there. I'll go ahead, load the rest of them up, and then I'll show you how I kick her in the guts and get it going. Rightio, so I've got her all loaded up. Only managed to fill up 5 trays, so there was 1.7 kilos there, so that only filled 5 of the 7 trays that I have here. You can see I've numbered them, because as I go, every hour or so, I'll rotate, so I'll just keep putting the top one down the bottom and bringing them up, and I'll just rotate them around every hour. I'll probably set this for 12 hours for a start, and then go from there. If I stop at 10, I stop at 10. I can usually tell by you bend it. You want it to bend sort of like a tree branch, a green tree branch, and as if it's about to fracture, but not. I'll show you that towards the end when I've got it ready. You can see it looks pretty good in there at the moment. There it all is, so it's all nice and spread out. It's a pretty basic dehydrator, doesn't cost a lot of money. So I'll get her started. So I'll flick her on. I'll set the time for 12 hours for a start. There's 12, and I'll set the temperature at 70 degrees, which it's on there. Then in a second it'll start up. So she started there, you'll see that'll just count down now, and it'll keep showing you what the temperature is. It should flick over any second. There it goes right there. So we're in for 12 hours at 70 degrees. So she's a bit of a long haul. Like I said, I like to rotate the trays. If you walk away and don't rotate them, it's not the be all end all, it's not gonna hurt. So anyway, I'll let it go. I'll be back with you in the next 10 to 12 hours, I guess. Rightio, so here I am, I'm back. It's actually taken the full 12 hours of rotating these trays, so I put it on for 12, thinking it might have been 10, but by the time I rotated them around, it ended up being 12. So here's the finished product. You can see there, it's changed colour, it's dried out, the chili's still on it. We got the consistency we're after. I'll show you this one. This is how you want it to break after it's cooked. It's sort of like a green stick. Nearly snaps through, you can see that. Just there, it's almost snapped all the way through. So that's perfect. That took 12 hours to get it to that. Another thing, which I probably will do with this, I didn't mention it earlier because I wasn't sure, but I'm going to. If you grab it, I'll cut it into strips. You can just cut it with the scissors, you can see that. Just cut it into nice even strips, so it'll make it easy to bite off. There it is there. So I'll cut all that into pieces now, and that'll just keep in an airtight container for probably It'll keep for 2 or 3 months in an airtight container because it's dried out. There's nothing, no moisture left in it. The sugar, which I said at the start, the brown sugar is the most important thing because that's what preserves it. So yeah, that's 1.7 kilos turned into jerky. You can make up any sort of, mix up your recipes. That's just one I've worked on over time. I like it. It's got a little bit of kick, not too bad. So I like it. And anyway, give it a go, see what you reckon, and then change it up from there. So thanks for watching again. Hope this has been enjoyable for you. Grab some Churello, slice her up, grab a dehydrator, they're pretty cheap, and give it a crack yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers.